We are almost all of the science department. And so I'd like to introduce you to, we have Miss Lafarge, Miss Lambden, Miss Pineda, Miss Murphy, myself, Pat Bradley. We have two students, Joanne and Anna. And we have another science department teacher who is working in a different area right now, Miss Stewart. So this is a little bit about our science program. We have all of our course offerings are shown right here, and we'll circle back to that in a little bit. Our goals for our department are also listed right here. We don't want to go through the whole thing, but mainly our job is to make sure girls love science, think critically, learn how to solve problems, and enjoy the process. Again, here are our course offerings. We have, but I think the most important, so you can look through them all and see what our electives are, but the main important thing for incoming ninth graders are where they start. They're either going to start with biology, which is a college prep level biology, or honors biology. So in one of those two science classes, and then they'll move from there in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. How they're going to get placed this year, because we aren't having the HSPT test, it will depend on their current class grades. And it will also come down to teacher recommendation. And a lot of it actually comes down to how they are in reading, because in biology, there's a lot of reading and memorization. So it depends on that. But if they get placed in one of these and it's an incorrect placement, we move them fairly quickly. So if they're placed in college prep biology and we find that they're really strong students and maybe that wasn't the correct place for them, we will switch them to honors biology within a few weeks so that they're on track and they're being challenged, because that's what we're looking for. Some of the things we have at Science, we have a very broad range of course offerings, as you saw from that last slide. Many of our students take 5 or 6 years of science by doubling or even tripling up some years. In the next year, we're bringing in a STEM program that's going to be implemented for students that are really interested in a STEM program. And so those students will have access to a speaker series and more rigorous course offerings. Many of our girls do go into STEM careers, which is really exciting for us because that's our job. My job, our job is to make sure girls love science and really want to really push them and challenge them so that they know that they can do it. Science classes that we have use a very hands-on, engaging approach. As you can see here, we have some pictures showing this is a physics lab where they're looking at roller coasters and they go outside. It's our campus actually lends itself to outside exploration of science. Labs are an integral part of the learning experience. We also have some interning opportunities, and I'll have our students talk about that in a minute. Our newest course offering is an introduction to robotics, engineering, and design thinking. And you can see here some of the things that these students will be introduced to. And this course came to our school because of student interest. We had students who wanted the course here, and so we brought it on campus. It's the same with our computer science. Our students can drive what they are being taught. So if you have a student who's really interested in something that we don't offer here as a course, we can look at it, and like we have with our last 2 editions, we can implement it. So this is the first year we're teaching it as a course here. You can see 2 of our students are working on building our robot because we're in a competition in 2 months. So we have a lot of work to do. Here they're learning CAD programming online to help design the robot. Some of the other things that happen in our science program, we have a Science National Honor Society, which is mostly student run. Within that, there's peer tutoring. Actually, I'm going to let Joanne or Anna speak to this. I don't know who wants to speak to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, so for our Science National Honor Society, in junior year, we do an application to for an entrance into Science National Honor Society. And then following senior year, you get to run for the officers. And in the Honor Society, we usually organize peer tutoring, which includes biology, chemistry, and other subjects, whichever one our underclassmen needs help in. So we peer tutor. And then we also do a middle school science fair, which they bring in the science projects to Cole Mansion. And then the members of the Science National Honor Society usually grade and judge the science fair projects. We also have guest speaker events, and also through those we have like student body, and then we all listen to the student speakers. And then for intern opportunities, I'm not an intern. I usually help out on the side, but Anna can speak more on that.
Yeah, so I have a class period that doubles as both study hall but intern mostly. What I work on is I help grade labs currently, and hopefully if we go back to school, I'll be able to help set up labs and just learn more about the grading process, as well as the deeper side of science from the teaching perspective, which is very, very interesting and helpful in career path choices.
Yes. Also, some of our interns actually have had opportunities to teach our students during class. We'll bring them in and say, okay, we need you to teach them this particular topic, and it gives them a little bit more experience. We're there to make sure everything goes okay, but it's a really great learning opportunity. Some of the other things we do, we have science education trips. Our most recent ones were to Iceland, the Galapagos, Costa Rica. We like to have them every other year. 2 years ago, we offered a trip to Croatia, but that, because of the expense, I think we didn't get enough signups for that. So Iceland was our 4-year ago trip, and we would love to have a trip this year, but yikes, not so sure that's going to happen. Again, we have 2 other offerings that weren't on our normal track. We have a problem-solving class and sports medicine, and I'm going to have Ms. Murphy talk about our problem-solving class.
Thank you. So we have a 1 semester long creative problem-solving class offered to freshmen usually, and it's a great fun class where we are basically making things. We use both high-tech and low-tech materials. So there's a 3D printing unit, which this year has been extended because of distance learning. It's actually quite an easy thing to extend remotely. We do a bit of robotics, a little bit of electronics, and then sewing machines and hand sewing sorts of things, so that you can end up, the idea is to be able to make things which combine both low-tech and high-tech things. We also speak a lot about design thinking in this class, and it's a lot of fun. We come out with some really creative results. So I think I'll pass that back to Pat.
A lot of questions have arisen about how do we do this? How do we do hands-on during a pandemic? And so this is just a slide showing how, I'm going to play these little videos while we're doing it. We had a lab last week. So you can see our students are doing the lab, they're wearing their masks, they're social distancing. And the way we did it was we had half of the students in doing the lab and the other half were zooming in. So you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but they all have a device with their partner on the device, and they do the measurements. They read out the measurements to their partner, and their partners write it down, and then they'll Zoom together later to go through the data. Other than that, we also find at-home labs. So these 2 videos were an at-home lab that somebody did, learning how to make ice cream. That wasn't really the point of the lab. The point of the lab was knowing that when you add stuff to different solutions, it changes the melting point and the freezing point of them. The bottom video was an at-home lab where they made a pH indicator using cabbage, and then they tested home products for their pH. So we've become very creative in how we do labs and hands-on materials. Let's see, what else? And it's not letting me go forward. Just another slide showing a couple different pictures of some of our science things, and that that concludes my talking. So now I'm just going to say, ask if you have any questions. Okay. If there aren't any questions, then that concludes our presentation. This is just a slide presentation, a slideshow showing students doing different things in science.